Republicans on the House Oversight Committee laid into the director of the Smithsonian Museum of American History on Tuesday.
Director Anthea Hardig was summoned to testify over accusations that the Smithsonian has promoted divisive revisions of the country's history. Representative Brandon Gill pressed her on a graphic published by the Smithsonian in 2020, which lists being polite as an aspect of white dominant culture. Here was the exchange.
The same mass action toolkit that your organization has been promoting references politeness as a defining characteristic of white supremacy culture. Ma'am, are you a white supremacist?
No, sir.
You're not. Can you help me square why your organization says that being polite is part of being a white supremacist?
I'm not exactly familiar with that passage of the mass action toolkit.
I am glad that Brandon Gill was highlighting the absurdity of this, these educational materials. This is the Aspects of White Supremacy Culture document. It is by a woman, Tima Akun, is her name. She put this together. There it is.
And they took this down, no?
They did take it down.
Yeah,
so it's a
he's
little
talking about historic stuff that happened that was addressed and acknowledged and removed per
It was
the
taken down
request.
after people pointed out how ridiculous it was.
Right.
Yes.
Not that to me, that's not the summation. As somebody who just recently visited the American History Museum, it's not a summation of what that museum showed. That museum showed our whole history in a variety of ways, the good and the bad parts, the entertaining parts, the sports parts, like what combing through and pointing to the entire museum and all it's accomplished and done for people that are not even from this country to learn about American history and saying this defines it. When most people who visit that museum have not seen this document. No, he is trying to say that.
No.
Because he wants to soundbite to clip and raise money. So he wanted to pull this document
This document
up.
is ridiculous.
That's irrelevant. Yeah, but it's irrelevant
This is not
right
an irrelevant
now.
document.
It's irrelevant right now.
This document was hugely influential, was a part of training seminars for schools and workplaces. It's not an insignificant document.
No school or workplace that I've ever been to had that document come up. I'm going to tell you right now.
It was common. It was a very common educational tool that everyone sat through and was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That is, by the way, totally unscientific. It's a white lady who made it. It's not based in any scientific or historic. It's just somebody came up with. It provokes, in my view, negative stereotypes because, it's saying things like politeness is an aspect of white supremacy culture. So is that trying to say that, in a way, that's almost like you're saying that white people are more polite than black people, which is not true and would be an ugly stereotype and would not be something we would want to teach to kids or have them normalize that idea that conscientiousness or timeliness or things that are positive values basically are just part of being a white person and is just a very harmful idea, which is why so many of us are so struck by the fact that it was a very central part of activist teaching for DEI seminars, for the corporate world and schools in particular. And no one questioned it for years and years and years until finally there was a little bit of a backlash to DEI and critical race theory of those things. And this thing, being the most ridiculous one of all, got pointed to. Even liberals and Democrats were ready to jettison it because it is so absurd. And even Tima Kuhn said, well, I never really meant for it to come this far. And so they've gotten rid of it, and that's a good thing. So I take your point that they've gotten rid of it, so it's not really her fault. But when anyone took this seriously for 5 seconds, I think it's fair for Brandon Gill to do his thing there.
And I agree. I didn't like that document. I agree that critical race theory should not be taught to children. I agree that most children in grade school weren't learning critical race theory. I mean, these are all things that I've said on record people could take a look at. I agree that that was a bad suggestion. Even if it was happening in one school, it shouldn't happen in any school. That's something that's taught at Harvard University, right? We're happy to disagree and debate ideas at an extremely high level. So I don't even understand why that comes into what the Smithsonian is doing. The experience of the Smithsonian is a welcoming place for a variety of travelers, both American who want to learn more about their history and see and experience it, borrowing artifacts from different people that maybe need to be returned, or holding and housing artifacts for the test of time.
Writing down history is also an aspect of white supremacy.
Okay, but this document, this toolkit is irrelevant to me and irrelevant to the Smithsonian at this time. And so the fact that the president and the administration is actively targeting the Smithsonian it makes you wonder why. And I think that's what Jasmine Crockett is wondering also. So that leads me right into this next part where Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett blasted the hearing, describing it as, quote, Republican white pride rally. Here's what she was accusing Republicans of trying to hide: parts of America's past.
It might be uncomfortable for some people on this committee to hear about the true history of America, and I hate that for them, but facts are facts. And it's a fact that there is a violent, exclusionary, discriminatory, sexist, and racist part of American history. If states continue to change curriculum, where do Americans go to learn about the complicated, sometimes racist and violent parts of American history?
I miss her already.
She's going to have a second
I'm gonna
second
miss
coming.
her. I'm gonna miss her. Everyone is sexist and racist.
Well, you know what? I was at an event with her recently, and she mentioned that
What a great sparkly.
she might be getting into,
Into what?
some of what we do.
She's
Which
gonna
would be
start
awesome.
a podcast.
As an agent.
Of course.
So we'll see.
Of course.
I would like to see that. Anyway, what her point doesn't fall on deaf ears because I think if you look at what the president is doing with the Smithsonian, specifically targeting its director that leads the Smithsonian, where he's put in a position where he constantly needs to respond and he still takes the higher ground and doesn't. When you think about what the president has, or the administration at large has asked them to do with the president's house in Philadelphia, which I told you about, it's the exhibit that shows that George Washington had slaves that has been asked to be removed and then reinstated based on the guidance of the administration. Why do you want people to know that our first president had slaves? It just is. It's a fact. Like it or love it. That's what Jasmine Crockett is referring to. National parks were instructed to remove certain signage, books. Different sites have gotten rid of LGBTQ information, racial violence that happened there in history. Why are we getting rid of this stuff? Why are you laughing? Like, this is historical. Things that happen actually are relevant to people learning where they happen, why, and exhibits exist for that specific reason, people that are interested in learning. And so if this administration wants to tear down the Smithsonian and other exhibits that talk about some uncomfortable...
The Smithsonian, they're just giving some feedback.
No, they're trying to take it over. Literally trying to take it over and remove funds from the Smithsonian.
It's administered by the
threatening
government,
removal of funds is trying to take it over.
Let's just privatize it. Then they can do whatever they want. Then they can do aspects of white supremacy culture as much
why don't
as
they want people to learn?
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to.
Why don't they want people to learn? Oh, because we have to.
We're running out. We have to go.
You can't tell me why.
And
you don't
unfortunately,
want people to learn.
and I'm sorry to say this, timeliness is an aspect of white supremacy culture according to this document. So I guess
the document that's largely
complicit
irrelevant
in violence and racism today. Sadly.
I hope you guys champion the Smithsonian and not an administration run.
Well, that does it for us on Rising Live, and you can look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and do all that stuff. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.